Welcome to PrepsNet Coach Speak with Fultondale High School head football coach Jake Hogan, powered by the Fultondale Wildcats shop. Visit FultondaleWildcats.com for all of your Wildcats gear. Here's your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Welcome in, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
All righty, so you've split the last two games. You've had one loss and one win. Let's talk first about the loss. It was against Fayette County. You lost 44-0. Tell us about that night.
Well, first and foremost, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Fayette. They've got a good football team.
Right.
I think they're really good on the line of scrimmage on both sides, offensively and defensively, and I think they've got just enough skill players to really complement their physicality up front. And
right.
I think that from our standpoint, we kind of ran into a buzzsaw that night. That was one of I was very disappointed in our performance and felt like, it was obviously our first road game.
Sure.
When you have a coaching change and really when you have a full staff change as we have, that first year everything's new. So you're getting familiar with the players are getting familiar with you and everything, like how we eat pregame, how we conduct ourselves on road trips, so on and so forth. And I think that you couple that with going down to a hostile environment and,
yes, sir.
And facing a really tough team, I didn't feel like we played our best. And the challenge that I laid forth to them was, you guys are going to have to do some self-reflecting and
right.
We'll win when you decide that we're going to win. So that was the challenge set forth to them. Well,
and then that happened Friday night in that they had a very convincing win against Dora. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, it took a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but it was always good to get in the win column.
Yes, sir.
And then, obviously Dora was the very similar situation that we're in, very young team, big graduating class last year off of a really good squad. And, we were fortunate to be able to find a way to come out with it in the end.
Good deal.
Happy about it.
So tell us who played well in that game.
Offensively, the stat line belongs to our running back, George Lewis III. He put up 233 yards rushing and then added 60 on a screen pass that he took for a touchdown.
That's crazy.
Had a really good night. And then, I think one of the most pleasing things was our two linebackers, Rodriguez King and obviously Ross Christie. They were both in double-digit tackles, and I think they, played as well at that position as I think we've seen. And it was, the challenge that I presented to them was, overcome any misread, any miscue, any lack of knowledge, overcome it with your effort. Right. And, I felt like we took a step in that direction. I was very pleased with them.
Good deal. Yeah. Any injuries of note in those last two games?
Nothing season ending. I think that the bye week that we have right now comes at a really good time. We've got a couple of guys that are, nursing some nagging injuries, a couple of rolled ankles and, beat up shoulders, everything that everybody else has this time of year. So, I'm hopeful to be able to get them rested and rehabbed a little bit and get them ready for the last part of the season.
Okay. So right now you're sitting at the midpoint of the season. Kind of give us an assessment of the first 5 games.
Well, I think that we've played a really tough schedule thus far.
Yes, you have.
I think that, obviously with Fairview coming in first, and then, like I just mentioned a minute ago, is a matter of just getting used to the way that we're going to do things from now on. And that's where I think that the most progress has been made. And in the coaching world, you hear all these buzzwords, culture and standard and those things. And I think that there's a common misconception that coincides with your win-loss record. It does not. I think that it reflects your win-loss. I think that your win-loss record will reflect your culture and standards, but that's more about your day-to-day.
Sure.
And I think that's been the biggest lesson that we've put forth is, what's expected out of us on a daily basis.
And that takes time to establish.
It does. And, I think that there's been progress made. I think that us getting the win last Friday against a tough Dora team was was definitely a step in the right direction. But, you know, I told them at the end of the game, like, you know, we're not going to break our hand patting ourselves on the back by any stretch of the imagination, because there was still a lot of mistakes, you know. But at the same time, it's a lot easier to correct those mistakes after a win than it is a loss. So we'll definitely take it.
Okay. So looking forward, what are some goals you have for the second half of the season?
Well, we want to make playoffs. You know, we want to try to hit that 3 or 4 spot in the region and see if we can't get this young team on the road and get them a playoff experience. You know, so I mean, we're not shying away from any of our goals. That's what I told them Friday and over the weekend. You know, everything that we set out to do is still in front of us. We don't necessarily control our own destiny at this point. However, we do control being able to get in. I mean, so now it becomes a matter of being able to perform well.
Okay. All right. Very good. So you mentioned it earlier. You're in a bye week this week. Besides healing and getting ready for your next game, which is Hamilton, how do you plan on using the time?
Well, you know, constant evaluations. Like we're going to continue to try to move some pieces around, see what gives us the best opportunity to be successful in all 3 phases of the game. We're going to be heavy in the weight room, make sure. And then one thing that I always like doing during the bye week, the kids aren't happy to hear about this, but we like to go in and really condition them really hard. Make sure that we're running, keeping those legs underneath us. But that's it. Like, still trying to move the pieces of the puzzle around, still trying to find the best combination that ultimately gives us a chance to be successful.
Okay. All right. As I mentioned before, Hamilton's coming up on October 3rd, and they're very good, Coach. They're 5-0 so far on the season. What do you expect to see from the Aggies?
Well, watched a little bit of film on them. We obviously have their Dora game that we been looking at over the weekend. I think they're probably one of the more balanced teams in our region. I think their quarterback plays really good.
Right.
They do a good job of pushing the ball downfield, and you know, their offensive line is also very good, and then defensively they do the same thing. So I mean, I think probably one of the more all-around teams in our region. So we've got to. I'm glad we got a couple of weeks to get ready for it.
Right. Got to button that chin strap.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
Deal. So, Coach, that's our show. We appreciate your time. And as always, we appreciate yours. Join us again the next time for another Fultondale edition of Coach Speak.